In 1872, a British ship named the Challenger was measuring the depth of the entire Pacific Ocean. Its measuring method was quite simple. They tied some heavy objects to a rope and then lowered the rope into the sea. Then they measured the length of the rope to determine the depth of the ocean. But at that moment, on the Challenger, something very strange happened. When they were near Australia and Japan, next to the Mariana Islands conducting measurements, they found that their 1-kilometer-long rope, after being lowered into the sea, was quickly used up and still could not touch the seabed. It is known that near any island, the ocean depth usually does not exceed 1 kilometer. So, the crew of the Challenger attached another rope of the same 1-kilometer length to the original 1-kilometer rope and continued lowering it into the sea. But even after doing this, they still found no trace of the seabed. Seeing this situation, all the crew members were stunned. Then they decided they must find the seabed. So they kept attaching more rope until they had attached the 11th rope and finally reached the seabed. This meant that the depth of the ocean there was 11 kilometers. However, after that, with the help of the latest sonar technology, people discovered that its depth was about 10,994 meters. This depth was so great that if we put the entire Mount Everest upside down into it, the height of Everest would still be shorter by about 2 kilometers. After that, they named this place with a depth of about 10,994 meters, a length of about 2,550 kilometers, and an average width of about 69 kilometers, the Mariana Trench. About 100 years after all this happened, on January 23, 60, news came out. Explorer Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh were about to head to the bottom of the Mariana Trench for exploration. They named the entire mission project Nekton. But here came the problem. How did they plan to reach the seabed over 10,000 meters deep? Because in such a deep part of the ocean, the water pressure is immense. Even if we placed an airplane there, it would be crushed as thin as a sheet of paper. It turned out that Jacques Piccard's father, Auguste Piccard, had built a submersible called the Trieste in the 1950s. Jacques Piccard planned to ride this submersible to the depths of the Mariana Trench. At 8:02 in the morning on January 23, 1960, Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh sat inside the submersible and began their journey to the depths of the Mariana Trench. Before descending to a depth of 8 kilometers, the submersible's descent speed was quite fast, reaching 0.9 meters per second. But to avoid hitting other rocks during the descent, they had to slow down the submersible. Thus, the submersible sank slowly. Finally, at 1:06 in the afternoon, they reached the bottom of the Mariana Trench. But the time they stayed there was less than 20 minutes before they hurried back. So many people wondered, after completing such a dangerous mission and successfully reaching the seabed, why did they stay there for only 20 short minutes? Or did they see or sense something there that could threaten their lives? In fact, on their way to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, some strange and dangerous incidents occurred. When the submersible had descended to about 9 kilometers and was about to touch the seabed, Jacques and Don suddenly heard a dull cracking sound and also felt a very strong shock wave. This shock wave made their entire cabin shake. At first, they thought the submersible had touched the seabed and that it was just the vibration from contact. But later, they discovered the submersible had not touched the seabed at that time. Then they shut down all the equipment that could possibly produce such a sound for a while. After doing this, they began to feel that some strange creature, or marine animal, was crawling over the top of their submersible. But the question was this an ordinary marine creature, or a species that humans had never discovered before? At that time, in order to find out, they turned on the lights of the submersible and began to look outside. At this moment, they noticed that one of the external observation windows of the submersible had sustained some degree of damage. Perhaps for this very reason, Don Walsh and Jacques Piccard decided not to stay at the seabed for long. After briefly collecting some scientific data, they immediately returned to the surface. But as for the cracking sound they heard, whether it came from the impact of an unknown deep-sea creature or from hitting rocks during the descent, or some other reason, they themselves could not say for sure. After that, in 2012, film director James Cameron also carried out a similar diving mission. He planned to pilot a submersible called the Deep Sea Challenger to the depths of the Mariana Trench. During the entire mission, Don Walsh served as James Cameron's advisor. Therefore, everyone had high expectations for this mission and also hoped that this time it would reveal the truth behind those mysterious events that Piccard and Walsh had experienced back then. But later, something similar to what happened in 1960 still occurred. When the Deep Sea Challenger was descending and approaching the seabed of the Mariana Trench, its mechanical arm malfunctioned. These mechanical arms were originally used to collect seabed samples, but they suddenly broke down. In addition, the 3D cameras on Cameron's submersible could not withstand the extreme conditions at the seabed, and some camera lenses also malfunctioned. So the plan to stay at the seabed for 6 hours ended up lasting only 3 hours before returning. This was still much longer than the Trieste's 20 minutes in 1960 by quite a lot. Cameron's expedition did not live up to the high expectations. Aside from some mechanical failures during the process, nothing else particularly unusual happened. According to Cameron's description, the Mariana Trench is a desolate, dark, and silent abyss. He also did not witness any unknown mysterious creatures. In 2001, Germany sent an unmanned submersible called High Fish to the depths of the ocean. But while High Fish was on its way to the deep sea, at a depth of about 7 kilometers from the surface, it suddenly stopped. The crew members on the surface tried many times, but they still could not get High Fish to move. So they turned on the lights on High Fish to see what was happening. But the moment they turned on the lights, everyone was stunned. They saw High Fish was being bitten in the mouth of a strange creature, and the creature was trying to crush it. To rescue High Fish, the crew used the electric shock device installed on it to release a discharge in the water. The strong impact eventually made the creature let go of High Fish and then disappear into the depths of the ocean. But whether this creature was a known large marine animal or some other unknown species remains unknown at present. A similar incident also happened in 2003. On a drilling ship named Joides Resolution, while Joides Resolution was deploying an unmanned submersible into the depths of the ocean, the crew heard strange sounds coming from the equipment on the submersible, as if some kind of creature was trying to bite through the metal cable connecting the submersible. At the time, in order to find out what was happening, when they looked at the monitor, they were stunned. They saw the shadow of a creature about 12 to 16 meters long, with a ferocious appearance that did not look like a shark or a whale. The crew, upon seeing this monster, became very frightened and immediately pulled the submersible back to the surface. But when all the crew members inspected the submersible, they were shocked, because one side of the submersible was severely deformed, and the metal cable connecting the submersible to the ship was almost completely severed. So what kind of creature could cause such severe damage in such a short amount of time? Due to the urgent situation at the time, the crew could not clearly see it through the monitor. They only caught a brief glimpse. The deep ocean is still a realm that humans have not fully conquered. Within those abysses seem to lie endless secrets. Human knowledge of the ocean is still extremely limited. The existence of many unknown creatures and ecosystems still fills scientists with curiosity and awe. Humans have explored only 5% of the ocean. The remaining 95% is still unknown. So in that 95% of the area, Could there be species that humans have never discovered to this day? Thanks for watching our video till the very end. If you find this video interesting, feel free to share it with your friends. Finally, don't forget to hit a like button and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video. Goodbye.